Welcome to Weird Shit Podcast.
It's not the episode yet. This is the Patreon promotion for the episode because we need people to send us money because it will help us with making the show. Like right now, we literally sit here. I have this one fucking microphone. I would like to
Ridley
have
Scott
microphones.
Ridley Scott, we are asking you publicly for money. Please donate to our Patreon.
Carmelo Anthony, I have not seen your name appear on our Patreon yet. You obviously aren't practicing. You could at least spend that time sending us Patreon money.
But what else would we get besides a microphone?
How we would be able to pay our hosting dues without them coming out of my money. Plus, we might be able to, like, actually record more episodes more often.
Could we please get one of those, like, wacky Zoo Radio soundboards?
Yes. We can get a Zoo Radio soundboard. We could get like a fucking bong in the shape of an alien head. We can get like
Tobacco water pipe.
a tobacco water pipe, good call, in the shape of an alien head. We can get a Ouija board table. That would be dope.
No thanks. Luigi board. I don't want a Luigi board in my apartment.
A Ouija board?
What's wrong with the Luigi board?
They're clearly evil.
We haven't done that episode yet, so we don't know that they're evil.
He's right, we don't. Not yet.
Okay, well,
But if our listeners
my
go,
hypothesis is that they are evil.
if the listeners go to www.patreon.com/weirdshitpodcast, they'll be able to donate whatever they want to us, and it would be a huge help for the show. And maybe we'd be able to get more shit done.
Minimum $1,000.
minimum Biden.
Hey guys, it's Lainey, host of the True Crime Fan Club podcast. If you're a true crime addict like I am, then my podcast is for you. It's a podcast for the ultimate true crime enthusiast, giving you a glimpse into the life and crimes of the most demented minds. You won't want to miss an episode.
Hey everybody, this is Steven.
And this is Chris.
And we're the hosts of the brand new podcast, Is This Adulting?
Every week, we're going to sit down to have a discussion about life, culture, our own mental health struggles, and just about anything you can think of.
Have you ever wondered which breakfast cereal's the best?
Or how to help your friends who are dealing with mental illness.
Or why waterbeds were a thing?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, then have we got a show for you.
And remember kids, be happy, stay healthy, and go hug someone.
Because you never know, they might just be starting a podcast.
Do you notice anything unusual? No, sorry. At first I thought this was just a fault in the film. It's a strange coincidence. Then it happened again. Interesting, don't you think?
All during the picture, there was strange things happening. And it was an aura of not being welcomed. I mean, the devil was I really sincerely believe that the devil didn't want the picture to be made.
If we had been making a comedy, you would have recalled all the funny, great, ridiculous, silly moments that happened in that film. If you were doing a love story, you'd remember all the times somebody left their wife, another one fell in love with the granddad body. You're doing The Omen, anything that happens on that film. You don't tell about the jokes, you don't tell about the love stories, you don't even think about it, but you think about anything that coincidentally could have been something to do with The Omen. So we had lots of them.
There were all kinds of incidents during the shooting of this film, and the newspapers thought we made them up.
Peck's plane was coming over, a TWA flight that was a direct flight from LA, everybody was always on, it got hit by lightning. 3 days later, David Seltzer was on the same flight. His plane was hit by lightning. I was being let out of my car by Harvey Bernhard, out of his car, to go into my house, and some guy came along and whammoed the door, slammed me in between the two, and miraculously I didn't lose a leg or anything.
We were in the midst of the IRA bombing all over London, and we had reservations at a restaurant an hour before. Scott's, it was blown up. The Green Park subway station was blown up as we were walking toward it.
We chartered an airplane, a Hawker Siddeley. We had no money. We were going to shoot with it on the ground at this small airport. We got a call from the people and said, listen, we have a full charter that day that if you let us charter out, we'll give you the plane for practically nothing. Well, sure, go ahead and use it. That day they used it. And they took off. The plane hit a flock of birds. The engines quit. They lost airspeed, crashed on to the end of the runway, went down into the street, hit a car and killed everybody in the car. In the car were the wife and 2 children of the pilot. True story. Every newspaper has it and everything else. The Omen. I mean, it could have happened to us. If we had been shooting that day, maybe it would have been us.
We had an emergency landing in Newfoundland, and we were carrying the negative. And I said, I don't think we're going to get back.
We shot at the Windsor Wild Safari Park. We shot a sequence with lions that never made the screen. The day we left the lion compound to go into the baboon section, the guard was in his little booth. I guess left his door open. 2 lions came in, attacked him, and killed him. That day,
John Richardson was on a bridge too far in Belgium. He was our special effects man. He had a beautiful girlfriend. He was driving and had a head-on accident and beheaded his girl. And John is the one that he invented the beheading of our picture. And so his girl was beheaded, and then he woke up and he saw Liège, 6.6 kilometers. That was frightening.
We had all these things happen. Are they omens? Because is there something bigger? I say no, it's just an incredible coincidence. There are those that would like to think about it and that it's something more. And when the publicity department and Fox got their hands on it, we all said, yes, it's the Omen because we're selling our movie.
I must admit that at first I thought, well, this is a really exciting idea, but I really don't believe in the devil. Even though I'm a Christian, I don't believe in the devil. I don't believe my salvation depends on believing in the devil. I think it depends on believing in Jesus Christ. And I told that to a famous theologian I was having dinner with one night. He said, look, he says, if you guys go ahead and make this movie, before you are done, you will believe the devil exists. And he was absolutely right, because as I'm sure the other fellows have told you, so many bizarre things happen. It's almost as if somebody didn't want this picture to be made, because the number one lie of the devil is that he doesn't exist.
Did evil win? If you believe, yes. Did we have a lot of problems with a lot of religious nuts who said you can't have evil win over good because it's the devil? Yes, we had that. But if you have those that believe the material, as I did, that this was just a lost little child who was adopted in a hospital, and that Gregory Peck had to be totally insane at that last moment of his life, or how else could he drive a knife into a child? It had to be. Then if you had that attitude, then the child lived. And but did evil win over good? That's your choice.
Con Air is legitimately a cinematic masterwork.
It's one of the greatest goddamn things.
Just like
makes Citizen Kane look like a piece of shit.
Just fucking Nick Cage with a mullet and like the world's worst Southern accent is instantly one of the best movies ever made.
But what was wrong with his Southern accent?
It was too good.
It's too authentic.
It was too good.
He nailed it. Welcome to Weird Shit Podcast. This is Mike.
Welcome to the Weird Shit Podcast. This is Ryan.
Hey.
That was Alex.
And this is Robert.
No, that's a tablet.
Yeah.
His
You
name
named
is
your tablet Robert?
Yes.
I mean,
Robert Jr.
You just want to go around naming all your inanimate objects.
Yep.
In the room.
This is Robert. This is Jeff.
Why are you drinking Jeff?
Jeff, no.
Jeff! No!
No, Jeff is the glass, not the beer.
Oh.
Well, then what's the beer?
Boddington's? Pub
That's a
Ale?
shit name. Should call it Robert.
I'm gonna just name our microphone Pepe.
But it's blue.
Pepe Sylvia.
But it's blue.
So
it's blue egg.
Today,
if it was green, I mean,
it's poop egg.
Poop egg?
I think it's more like instead of the snowball, it's the Saint Nick.
It's two-faced.
So today we're going to be talking about movie curses, which should be pretty fun. So Palmer, I know I'm going to regret this, but what do you know about movie curses?
I don't know. Next. I don't know anything about
I'll
movie curses.
I'll respect your wishes. Ryan, what do you know about movie curses?
Drawing a blank. I can't think of any.
Oh shit!
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck.
What the fuck, Robert? What do you know about movie curses?
So I know all kinds of shit about movie curses. Like I know that it's an automatic R when you drop an F-bomb.
True. That is
No, you can get one F-bomb in a PG-13 movie. You're allowed.
If you show more than 8 straight minutes of dong, it becomes an R-rated movie.
I think the cutoff is a little below that.
So
too.
I know there was that one movie curse that like people were calling a movie curse. That was like the John Wayne movie or whatever, where he played like Genghis Khan.
I'm gonna go into that on here.
Okay,
I got that.
All right.
So
I'm Tammy Van.
So basically, there's been like a whole bunch of different movies, like since Hollywood was a thing, which have had like curses. So like either Hollywood executives have been pissing off gypsies, or like it's built on like an Indian burial ground or something. Because I was like researching this shit, and there is a lot. There is a lot of them that have some pretty crazy,
just like
crazy
almost
things
run
that
over
happen.
an old gypsy woman, and she's like, "Low box office."
Oscar.
Well, no, that wouldn't be a curse. How would getting an Oscar be a curse?
Because after that, every other work you ever put out is
Who
compared
cares?
to that.
It doesn't matter. You're Oscar winner Jeff Goldblum or something. I don't know.
Jeff Goldblum has an Oscar?
I doubt it.
And I don't see how he would be cursed.
You know who deserves an Oscar?
I need to look this up. I'm curious if Jeff Goldblum has an Oscar.
I think Chuck Norris needs an Oscar.
He doesn't even play in any
He needs a Lifetime
movies.
Achievement Award.
Yeah, Lifetime Achievement Award. Something like he's too important. Any luck?
Is there like a
give me a
Kung
minute.
Fu
Hurry up.
award?
A Kung Fu Award? I think there are, actually, right? Like, I know Donnie Yen won, like, a bunch of, like, Chinese Oscars, or whatever the equivalent of them is, the Hong Kong film.
Freedom.
Something.
He won Chinese freedom.
He won freedom. He no longer has to star in Hong Kong films.
He's no longer communist.
Nope, he currently got a nominee for a live-action short film that he was in, but that's it.
Highway Robbery.
Yep.
He should have got a...
Is that a movie he was in?
He should have got an Oscar for, like, at least for Jurassic Park.
I agree.
Because he was dope in that. So,
you will remember to wash your hands before you eat anything. Best line of all time.
And he's like, I love that gif of like Sam Neill laying on his like bare chest while he's breathing. It's so funny.
Life will find a way.
So the first one I have on here is The Omen. Do you guys know what The Omen is?
There it is.
Mm-hmm.
What? Another quote.
So The Omen was like a movie made by Richard Donner about like the Antichrist.
So his name was Richard Bonner?
Richard Donner.
Oh, okay.
And like
Dick Donner.
So like during filming, Donner's hotel was bombed by the IRA. Peck almost boarded a flight during a trip to Israel, one of the locations during the shoot that crashed and killed everyone on board.
Wait, the IRA can bomb people?
No, it's an urban legend, actually.
The IRA, not the IRS.
The IRS.
Oh, okay. I need to start doing my taxes.
You're like, man, I'm fucking up. Audit this. It's like blow all the fucking windows out of your hotel.
Take the $200.
Here, it's $13.50. It's all I have.
You can't tax
Please.
a dead man. Oh, wait, they can. They can.
Taxation is theft. So
different episode. Different episode.
So there's also Gregory Peck was like one of the stars of the movie. He almost boarded a flight during a trip to Israel, and that flight ended up crashing and killing everyone on board. So like he almost got on that plane that would have like killed him.
I think, but he lucked out though, so it was a reverse curse.
Oh, so is he the one that they based that movie off of, where he didn't take that flight and then death was following him around? Final Destination.
Yeah, it could be.
So that's a true story. I didn't know that.
I guess it hasn't caught up with him yet. Is Gregory Peck still alive? I don't know.
Dude, he's just like super good at like not the day of death.
So there were also several animal handlers that were attacked and injured because they had like jackals and like big old Rottweilers and stuff that they used in the movie.
Wait, did they die to a Rottweiler? Or did they die to...
They were injured by a Rottweiler.
Yeah,
oh, okay. I was about to say, that'd be
injured
gruesome.
to death.
Yeah, I have attacked and injured. Yeah. Killed by a Rottweiler would probably be a pretty horrible way to go.
I like to imagine the animal handler just like, he's all fucking boozed up and just like jumps into the cage with like a bunch of Rottweilers.
Just trying to commit suicide. And they just start licking him instead. He's like, finish me! Finish me!
He put like a whole bunch of raw bacon under his shirt before he jumped in. So
holy
just,
shit! He's on top of the hospital set and he's like, it's all for you, Damien! And like jumps off the top and lands in the fucking cage filled with Rottweilers.
They all like run to like cushion his fall.
They have like one of those old timey like fireman trampolines. They're like
They're just carrying it in their mouth.
Gregory Peck's son, Jonathan Peck, had committed suicide several months before filming, which is also kind of ridiculous. And special effects director John Richardson and his assistant Liz Moore were in a serious car accident that decapitated Moore. An incident which happened on Friday the 13th in 1976, and it looks just like the scene in The Omen where like the glass comes loose and cuts off the dude's head. It was exactly like that, apparently.
well, that's where they got the idea.
Let's put that in the movie.
Shit, that's brutal. Print, cut.
Apparently, the animal handler, the animal handler who had helped to organize the scene in The Omen, where like the baboon's going crazy, was
shit! Did the baboon kill somebody?
No, but this guy
like, pulled out a
was.
Uzi
someone
and fired into a
died.
crowd?
Someone died eating too many bananas.
So overdose on potassium. So this
Look
dude,
out! The chimp's got a gun.
so this animal handler, he actually was killed by a tiger the day after filming.
Damn.
The chimpanzee's #1 public enemy.
Exactly.
Shortly after the film was released, I already read that part. So, there's also...
Tim, cut that part.
There's Dave, cut that part out. Thank you, Dave. So, The Exorcist also had a lot of weird shit going on with its thing. So...
It said the name.
The craziest thing to me from The Exorcist, there was actually a fucking serial killer that was in the movie The Exorcist, which I thought was pretty crazy.
The plot thickens.
Weird.
I mean, there was a lot of little stuff, like the set burned down and ended up delaying the film for 6 weeks. The guy who played the director in the movie died just a week after he finished filming his role. There's that masturbation scene where Ellen Burstyn hurt her back, and like she got really hurt during that scene when she gets like pushed across the room.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I thought she hurt herself doing something else.
No. Nobody was legitimately masturbating with a crucifix in that
Just
movie.
like, damn.
So, there's... Let's see. A bunch of the crew members got sunstroke and dysentery.
Dysentery?
Yeah, dysentery.
Oh, it doesn't say that they were playing Oregon Trail.
They also had a night watchman and a special effects expert. Both died during the making of it. And apparently it had got so bad that the director asked a Jesuit priest to exorcise the set. And he decided to bless it instead.
Who produced these movies? Because I feel like they're just shit at their job.
It's Louis Cypher.
Yep.
This is all before OSHA.
Yeah.
If you pay attention to like the executive producer,
his name's Cypher. I mean, what do these people expect? They're all dead.
Louis Cypher.
Cypher.
Louis
Cypher, no siphoning.
Cypher, no siphoning. So,
you just got to say it 3 times, and you can't do anything.
Richard Abaddon was the executive producer on these films, and there was a number of strange deaths and sacrifices. No idea why.
There's a Father of Lies, who was also a producer on the films.
No, it's pronounced Father Ovleys.
Oh,
that's not much better.
So, also people had heart attacks, like watching it in theaters. There had been 4 blackouts and 6 cases of vomiting in LA. And also in New York, one woman had a miscarriage watching the movie.
I feel like all of that was just like
coincidental.
It was scary. So and there was a vomit scene. I know if it looked real vomit, my first reaction would be like, "Oh, that's oh my god! Look at all the vomit."
I like to think that the people who vomited all had pea soup first. So they were just like vomiting pea soup like straight out of the movie, just all over the theater.
So and like the heart attacks is just they got scared.
So the miscarriage happened during The Exorcist?
Yeah, like watching The Exorcist in theaters.
See, that's weird. If it was during The Omen,
yeah,
that would make sense.
Yeah. But
the fetus would have been like, this movie fucking sucks.
What if like
it's like
she was going to give birth to the Antichrist, and then the exorcism in the movie like
turns towards the camera?
It like came through the screen into her stomach, and the baby was just like, "Nah, I'm out. I can't be born now."
Yeah, so, I think that's how movies work.
Yeah.
So like, nope, I don't want it anymore. So
it's just like fucking M. Bison like torpedoes through the screen right into her stomach. And the baby's like. So they're like Neo at the end of the Matrix.
Is there a Street Fighter movie, Chris?
I can see everything.
That baby is the devil.
Baby just like does the 5-finger palm of death like out of his mouth. So, what'd you say, Robert?
I said, is there a Street Fighter movie curse?
Yeah, the fact it exists.
You take that shit back.
That movie is fantastic.
Fuck yeah.
So,
the movie got an 18 out of 10.
So, I told you guys there was a serial killer who was in the movie The Exorcist. Basically, there's this part in the movie where the girl, Reagan, she has to go to the hospital, and one of the doctors there is ended up being a serial killer named Paul Bateson, who was a X-ray technician, and he would, like, pick dudes up in nightclubs and then, like, fucking, like, stab them to death, and, like, then cut them up and throw them in the Hudson River.
Wait, so he would pick up guys?
Yeah.
All right.
Just like over his head.
Yeah. He would
like,
throw them in the air, stab them a few times, and then like kick them into the river.
I'm just picturing him like literally tossing them like 20 feet in the air and then just throwing knives at them.
But they all were willing. They were all volunteers.
It was all part of like those old Ginsu knife commercials. Like, you can cut an aluminum can in half with like minimal effort.
You can throw a man into the sky and fill him with these knives in record time
with ease,
and he won't feel a thing.
Buy a 6-pack for $19.99.
Buy a 20-pack.
And
$299.
So this guy was a real piece of shit. He was released from prison in early 2004, which is great.
So he's just running around throwing people into the
Yeah, he's probably running around throwing people in the
Wait, this guy's a convicted serial killer.
Convicted serial killer. Was released from
good behavior.
Mm-hmm. So,
I don't see what's wrong with that.
Yeah. It also...
That's the legal system.
How many dead people are from that prison? The entire sentence he was there.
Yeah.
Just like 32 people went missing while he was
deal.
here. I mean, we've seemed to stop losing people ever since he left. Just a coincidence.
Thank God for that. So the same guy, William Friedkin, who directed the movie, like the real life director, was basically inspired by that, like the guy who was a serial killer being in his movie, to direct the crime thriller Cruising, starring Al Pacino as an undercover New York cop investigating a serial killer targeting gay men.
Never heard of that one.
No, me either.
That is because it is pretty fucked up. There's like
Are you sure it's not just Serpico?
It kind of sounds like
that. Sounds a little different than the plot of Serpico. Just a little.
Only a little. It's really close.
Yeah, it's like right there.
It's like almost.
He was Top, New York City, Al Pacino, Serpico.
Yep,
same movie.
Yep.
Same movie.
Yep.
So, another one is Rosemary's Baby. Seems to be a trend here. The Omen, The Exorcist, and Rosemary's Baby. Apparently,
just stop making movies with babies in it.
Yes, that's the
trend. What about Vin Diesel's The Nanny?
First, for sure.
Yeah, that just killed anyone who ever saw it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, good thing I never saw that.
Yeah. Did you see the...
No one did.
Did I ever show you the video of Vin Diesel breakdancing? Like, his, like, breakdance training video?
It's fucking impressive.
It's so fucking amazing. Like, and he's apparently been playing in the same, like, D&D campaign for 25 years.
That's where most of his movie ideas come from.
Which is amazing, because I would fucking play D&D with Vin Diesel in a heartbeat. Sounds
what
incredible.
What if he's like Barrett?
That was just like a horrible power gamer.
Yeah. Oh, man. Oh, shit, that would be why Riddick is always, like, fucking winning. It's because he, like... He just designed
like 38
from the ground
extra
up
attribute points out of nowhere.
The like most power gaming Riddick is the most power gaming character you could possibly have.
Yep.
Like honestly, like he could see in the dark. He's fucking stealthier and stronger than everyone else. He
feel
has
like
barbarian rage.
Your DM has to be
given
some of that blame though.
That's in Ranger too.
Because he's like an OP race. When someone's an OP race, you have to give him a crazy experience penalty.
Yeah.
True.
And he didn't have that. It's not his fault.
Yeah. So, So
also, we all like to see him kill Necromonger, so we'll allow it.
Yeah, it's okay.
You keep
This
what
one
you
is-
kill, Riddick.
What is this? Some shitty place called
Not
Furia.
Sudden death in Hollywood is nothing new. Movies die at the box office all the time. So do acting careers. But did a big screen comedy script play a major role in the real-life 5 Hollywood funny men? In the late 1970s, a comedy script titled The Incomparable Atuk was making the rounds in Hollywood. The plot was simple. An overweight Eskimo from Alaska dreams of visiting the big city.
So many actors who've been associated with this project have died.
The script was written with only one performer in mind, John Belushi.
Well, you gotta suffer if you want to look good, you know?
The fateful choice may have doomed the project from the start.
He was reading it, he was preparing for it, and before he could even shoot it, he died.
His body was found after what the Los Angeles coroner determined was an overdose of cocaine and heroin.
Belushi was dead, but his spirit may still have had influence on the script. In medieval times, a book curse was used to inflict harsh punishment on anyone who took a manuscript from its rightful owner. A few years after Belushi's death, the screenplay was dusted off and handed to another actor.
It's comedy.
This time, comedy heavyweight Sam Kinison was cast in the title role.
Usually you get famous because you're funny, and then you destroy yourself. Now, Sam did it the other way.
On the first day of production in 1987, Kinison panicked and locked himself in his hotel room.
And he said, I'm not doing it the way it's written.
After half a day of work, the picture was scrapped.
When this movie went down, it was all over the news. It put his career in a tailspin.
2 years later, Sam Kinison died in a fiery car crash. Kinison would not be the last victim.
The supposed curse struck again in 1994.
I still wanted to make the movie. And they said, well, if you can get John Candy, we'll do it.
In other news, comic actor John Candy has died of a heart attack.
He was reading the script for the movie at the time that he died. That's kind of weird.
A couple of years later, I suggested we make it with Chris Farley.
Hi, I'm an idiot.
No, I'm not going to go so far as to say that I killed Chris Farley.
Chris Farley's body was found this afternoon in an apartment here in the John Hancock building. Chicago police who confirmed the death have nothing to say about how long he'd been there or what might have been the cause of death.
What if this curse really is real?
But the cursed script was spreading like a deadly virus, passed on from one victim to the next. Before he died, Chris Farley is said to have handed the script to Phil Hartman, another Saturday Night Live cast member.
I just want to say that greed is a terrible, terrible thing. It's one of the 7 deadly sins.
1 year later, Hartman was dead, shot by his wife in a tragic murder-suicide.
Whether it's a curse, I don't know, but there's definitely a dark pall that's been cast over this project.
The script hasn't been touched in years. It's been shelved in the archives of United Artists. It's still a killer script, and if the film is ever produced, the leading role is available for any actor who dares.
When I started this interview, I told you I wasn't superstitious and I didn't believe in curses. I now do.
So Anton LaVey was apparently rumored to play the devil in Rosemary's Baby, like the Roman Polanski movie.
Didn't Roman Polanski bang that kid?
100%.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Yeah,
100%.
He's definitely banged that kid.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Isn't he still making movies?
Which
yeah.
No, Hollywood still loves him.
That's good.
There's like a whole documentary about how hard they're working to try to get him back here so that he can work in Hollywood again. Because he literally banged a kid and then fled the country.
I mean, in their defense, Polanski's Macbeth was dope. I don't know if you ever saw that one.
Nah. I like Chinatown.
Chinatown was
But
good.
he did
Rosemary's
totally
Baby.
bang that kid, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whenever I watch one of his movies, I'm just thinking about him banging a kid. And I'm like,
I know.
This is just Not working for me.
I googled, did Roman Polanski rape a kid? And Google just said, yeah.
Yup.
Top result, yes. You're like, oh, well.
It's just a frowning emoji.
With, like, the tear, the, like, single tear. So, apparently, he originally wanted Anton LaVey to play the devil. He couldn't get him. And so
he just got the devil.
Yeah. And Anton LaVey was like a Satanist, like head of the Satanic Church or something.
He was
like that.
He was like number 2 to the devil, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So he couldn't get the number 2, so he just went for the number 3.
Trump.
Steve Jobs.
Oh.
William.
Not what I was expecting.
William Castle, who was a producer on the movie.
That's why he got cancer.
William. So this producer here, William Castle, he got threatening letters during following the film's release. One read, "Bastard, believer of witchcraft, worshipper at the shrine of Satanism. My prediction is you will slowly rot during a long and painful illness, which you have brought upon yourself." And Castle suffered from debilitating health issues soon after, which convinced him the movie was cursed. During one emergency room visit, he reportedly screamed, "Rosemary! For God's sake, drop the knife!"
Why are they not going after this guy who wrote him that letter that clearly cursed him?
Yeah, like
Who's this guy?
Obvious.
And, I mean, to be fair, his cousin Frank, aka the Punisher, probably
Right.
You have to take out heretics.
Just shot him like a cancer bullet.
You can't let cultists start
my lymph nodes!
cursing people with afflictions. That's how you get Nurgle. That's how you get Nurgle infections.
Exactly.
What's Nurgle?
Just threw like a poison javelin into his spleen.
Nurgle is the prince of what is it? Like Prince of Change?
You ever watched that show, My 600-Pound Life?
Imagine one of those people, but their nipples or mouths that they're like demonic.
So they're just like gluttonous demons?
Yes.
Then you would understand what Nurgle is.
How do you spell Nurgle? I'm just gonna Google it.
It's
Google's amazing.
Nergel, Nurgle.
Say that one more time. Shit, I opened Google Maps. Don't show me where it's at.
No, we don't want to know where Nurgle is. Absolutely no interest in that.
McDonald's is
Nurgle?
3.2 miles.
Okay.
Bring me to the nearest Swinesh. Emerald City Strip Club.
You said Nurgle, right?
Yeah.
Like N-E-R...
N-U-R-G-L-E.
N-U-R.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Oh, because it brought up a person. I went, that's...
That is horrifying.
Nurgle.
Why'd you just pull up the cat from Garfield? Oh no, that's a Nurgle.
Oh, that's a Nurgle. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like some of those people that you find at like Walmart. And they're just like scooting around, just buying like fuck awful shit.
It's that giant, ancient, and unfathomably demonic.
Sometimes.
So, yeah, he got all those like crazy letters and stuff. The composer
he just responds to that guy's like, "You're crazy, man."
Yeah.
Well, you wild.
What you doing now?
That's funny, bro.
WYD.
The composer of the film score, Mr. Christoph Komeda, died in hospital from a hematoma of the brain in a way which eerily resembled Hutch's death in the film. It's long been rumored, and blah blah blah.
Let's just look up like random films and see if like people die horrific deaths in those.
So, also,
I got you.
Roman Polanski's wife, Sharon Tate, was murdered by the Manson family a year after the movie came out.
Yeah, but is it still a curse if it's a year after the movie came out?
I mean...
Could be.
Could be. It takes a while to unwind.
What's the year
something
cutoff?
Like that. I think...
I'm going to go with, 10 years.
10
if
years.
nothing has happened for 10 years...
You're clear.
Yeah.
Clear.
Yeah. Then you're just cursed from something else.
Plus, I think it also depends on how fucking weird the thing is that happened.
Yeah.
Because, if it's a 1 in a billion kind of thing that is, tangentially related to the movie, that seems like it would still be the movie curse that would be responsible for that.
So I just looked up a random video to see if there was a curse behind it, and Paul Blart Mall Cop. It does not, unfortunately.
It's not cursed.
Well, the meme makes it live forever, so it's fine.
Yeah. It's not cursed.
It's the
yet.
opposite. It's actually a holy movie.
There's some Asian countries where it's the only film I've ever seen.
It made $183.3 million in the box office.
Yeah,
that's $183.3 million more than I thought it did.
So another movie that is said to have been cursed is The Passion of the Christ.
Of course.
Because duh. So,
it ruined Mel Gibson's career for a while.
Jim Caviezel got...
to be fair, Mel Gibson ruined Mel Gibson's career for a while.
But I attribute that to the movie curse.
Yeah.
And he's back.
Yeah.
With vengeance.
So, during...
Jesus Christ, too.
During the filming of the, Sermon on the Mount scene... Jim Caviezel got struck by lightning.
Dope.
Jim Caviezel?
The guy from the first one.
He's fine, though.
So, Assistant Director Jan
He's got
Michelini...
that badass metal armor all over his
Assistant Director Jan Michelini was also struck twice by lightning during the film's production.
She cool, too, though.
So that just makes them gods, right?
Exactly. They all have extra powers now.
Jesus is like, I approve! And then just
that's his way of high-fiving them.
Yeah. Yo, sick movie, bro.
Caviezel also got a lung infection and pneumonia, as well as a dislocated shoulder, and he suffered painful skin infections from the makeup used to depict his gruesome injuries in the film.
Wait, he got
Maybe they
his
didn't
shoulder
get cursed because it was a god movie, but they got cursed because it was Zeus who was pissed off. They were making a movie about Jesus.
I'm confused though. You said his shoulder got dislocated from makeup? That's what that sentence sounded like to me. All that stuff happened to him because of the
listing
makeup?
his injuries.
Well, then how the fuck did he dislocate his shoulder?
And then he also had I don't know.
They tried to fix it.
It was during the crucifixion scene that he, while performing the crucifixion scenes.
It fixed.
Did they, crucify him? Because that would explain.
If they legit crucified him.
He got his arm, he dislocated both shoulders while being crucified.
He had both of his legs broken.
I'm sure Mel Gibson was the one to get crucified. He's really into torture for some reason.
He is.
Yeah.
See,
You can't crucify him though, because he'll just dislocate his shoulder and escape from it. Works every time.
I'm still waiting for when
That's probably how he tried to.
He just puts his hand.
That's how he probably dislocated.
He
his
puts
shoulder.
his hands all the way the rest of the way through the spike. He just takes himself down.
I'm just waiting for
That's how you do it.
the real Mel Gibson to finally escape from the prison that his alien lizard captors had thrown him in, and then it'll be lizard Mel Gibson fighting real Mel Gibson just at the Oscars one day. That would be incredible.
And real Mel Gibson.
Oh my
has
God,
his
Danny
mullet
Glover!
from Lethal Weapon 3.
Danny Glover is standing. Danny Glover is standing in the audience with a fucking pistol.
Trying to
He's
figure out which one
trying
to
to
shoot.
figure out which is the right one to shoot. shoot us both, Murtaugh. It's the only way you can know. And he's like, I can't do it, Reigns.
I can't do it.
Oh, that
Too
would be
old for this shit,
incredible.
Reigns.
Man, I was 2 days from retirement.
So, also the movie The Crow is another one that's said to have been cursed because, you guys know, because Brandon Lee died during filming that movie.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's Bruce Lee's son. Died during filming it.
It gets weirder though.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff. Like a construction driver drove a screwdriver through his own hand at one point.
How the shit?
And
for funsies,
a set sculptor drove his car through the props room and completely destroyed it. Most of the set was destroyed by a storm. A crew member had to be hospitalized after his crane ran into a power cable and he suffered burns over 90% of his body.
Are these people all just like humongous klutzes?
It's just
entirely
like
possible.
The problem is that the director every day just had the Benny Hill theme on
Right.
loop in between takes, and you're just asking for trouble at that
I just
point.
imagine all these people are like drunk as shit.
Yeah.
During filming, and like he's driving a goddamn crane.
I
and
mean,
it's
this
just
was like
whee! And then it's like
when was The
smacks
Crow?
to a power
Like
line.
89 or something, right? Was when The Crow came out.
I have no idea.
Okay, it was like late 80s, early 90s, so they were probably just doing a whole shitload of cocaine.
Yeah, it was definitely early 90s, late 80s.
I bet you the villain, like his actor, was just like trying to warn people about all this shit, right? Because he sees it going on. He's like,
Somebody can
no one could understand a goddamn thing he's saying. They just kept dying.
It's true.
This damn gun is loaded.
Loaded gun.
What? I can't.
So, is part of the curse of The Crow the fact that the sequels have to be terrible?
So, another...
Yeah, but was Highlander cursed? Was Highlander cursed? Because Highlander 2.
Well, there can only be one.
No.
That's got to be... I mean, they did
He's
say
right.
that, yeah.
They said it in the movie.
They made a lot of them, though.
I think it cursed itself by doing that.
It's true. They didn't follow their own rule.
Oh, okay, it was 94. It's The Crow.
Okay. So, shortly after Lee's death, a film was produced by his mother about his father's life titled Dragon, the Bruce Lee Story, which I know you guys have seen.
I have not. You keep assuming all this stuff, and I don't think I've seen like any
Ryan
of the
and
movies
I
on
have
this
both
list.
seen it, so you're in the minority.
Yeah.
You need to see these fucking movies, dog. They're good movies. So in this movie, Dragon, the Bruce Lee Story, in the end, Bruce Lee is fighting a demon, but it like loses interest in him and goes after his son instead. Because like Bruce Lee's fighting like a demon that's basically death or whatever, and it's like nah, and then like goes after his kid instead, which is weird because this was like nope, lost my place. Twilight Zone movie. So,
but what about the kid?
Fuck that kid.
Was the kid okay?
So what about the fact that
that kid needs to keep his eyes peeled for Roman Polanski because obviously
He's coming for
he
him.
should not be allowed on that set.
So you didn't even mention the fact that in The Crow, like the way Brandon Lee dies is the exact same way that Bruce Lee's character dies in the movie Game of Death, or like fakes his death, I guess, in Game of Death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like literally, Brandon Lee died because somebody had accidentally put a real bullet in with all the fake bullets for like the scene, and that's how Bruce Lee's character dies in Game of Death. Like how he dies is somebody puts like a real bullet in with all the fake bullets in a gun for a
Fucking
scene.
spoilers.
So the Twilight Zone movie.
I thought that was a show.
So there's like a scene where the film star Vic Morrow is trying to rescue children from a Vietnamese village, and there was like a helicopter next to an air mortar, and that air mortar blew off the helicopter's tail, and it crashed into the river below, crushing one of the children, Renee Shinyi Chin, and severing the heads of Victor Morrow and another child actor, Micah Dinley. The two child actors had been hired illegally by the producers.
I feel like all of this goes back to the producers. Like every single one of these.
Producers are obviously some type of demon, or at the very least a devil of some kind.
No, I think what happens is every
Chaos
producer's
Ghost.
like, please, God, make my movie amazing, and then the devil's like, I got you, fam, but you need a sacrifice.
A year before his
I
death...
think it's more just the producers hiring incompetent crew members because they're cheaper.
So here's where it gets into the weird shit. Is a year before his death, Morrow had taken out a $5 million life insurance policy after having had a premonition that he would die in a helicopter crash.
Weird.
The film's concept artist mistakenly included a burnt-out helicopter in the middle of the river in his sketches, foreshadowing the details of the accident.
Or his plan.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah,
or
he just faked his own death.
So, like, is that how he died?
He took out a huge
yeah,
life
that's how he
insurance
died.
policy.
Was in that helicopter accident.
He just took out a huge life insurance policy and then
too.
faked his own death. That's it.
That's what it seems like.
Yeah, so that I was like, that's kind of ridiculous.
Which movie was that?
That was the Twilight Zone movie. I remember reading about it before that, like, the producers were actually caught up in, like, a huge legal thing with the family of the two kids that they had hired illegally to, like, act in it. I'm not sure how that ended up turning out, though, off the top of my head. So, next I have The Conqueror. And The Conqueror was a Genghis Khan epic that was filmed in Utah, and it was like downwind from a U.S. Army site where they had tested a bunch of nukes. And the movie starred John Wayne, Susan Hayward, and Agnes Moorehead, all of whom died of cancer, as did director Dick Powell. By late 1980, a survey found that 91 cast and crew members out of 220 had developed cancer, and 46 of them had died from it.
Jesus.
The film was also plagued by a sudden flood and by a panther that nearly bit Hayward.
There's panthers in Utah?
Yeah, radioactive panthers, apparently.
Yeah, just imagine, like, radioactive floodwater is just, like, washing through the plains of Utah with, like, a panther that just, like, pops out.
Like a neon green panther.
And they're all just, like, fleeing the flood. And they're like, okay, we're safe. And then, boom, panther.
Yeah, and the panther, like, is on the ceiling behind them.
Like, son of a bitch.
God damn it, panthers have claws.
And it's just like...
That was a good panther.
I think that movie got cursed the moment they decided that John Wayne should play an Asian man.
I mean, it's...
What's wrong with that?
Pretty bad. But, like...
John Wayne I feel like he was miscast.
Apparently the army had just been like, oh, yeah, it's fine. Yeah, don't worry about it. You guys will be fine there. you guys are good to film there. And then everybody just started glowing in the dark.
And then they was dead.
Then they was dead of cancer. So, I also have here the movie Atuk, based on a novel by Mordecai Rickler, The Incomparable Atuk, is a comedy about an Eskimo who comes to New York attracted, and it had John Belushi, Sam Kinison, John Candy, and Chris Farley all were, like, up for this role. And all of them died before they could start filming it.
Jeez.
And it's even crazier because Kinison actually began production on the film in 1988, then clashed with producers and dropped out of the project. And then he died 4 years later. People point that the other two, that two others tangentially associated with the film also died young. Michael O'Donoghue, who was a writer who read the script, and Farley's friend and SNL co-star Phil Hartman, who reportedly was planning on taking a supporting role in the movie, and his wife ended up murdering him, which is pretty nuts.
So, are they still trying to make that movie? Because, like, there's a certain point where you just gotta stop, right? Like, it's just like, alright, this movie's clearly killing everyone involved. Let's just not make it.
I mean, what does the fucking body count have to reach of our, like, fat, high-energy comedians before these people are stopped? Because they just keep dropping like flies.
Like, who's
Thousands.
next? John Goodman? Jack Black?
Run, Seth Rogen! Run! So,
oh, that's good because that'll get him healthy.
Yeah.
Then he won't be fat anymore. Then he can star in this no problem because he's not a fat comedian. He's a regular comedian.
But you have to be fat to star in it. So
why?
Because that's apparently the type. Everyone they're casting: John Belushi, Sam Kinison, John Candy.
What if they're just
Chris
funny?
Farley? But they're fat and funny, is what they're
I think
going
that
for.
just is a coincidence.
Okay. So, Wizard of Oz, actress Judy Garland was like, she suffered 4 divorces, a string of famous insecurities and neuroses, financial instability, and addictions. Before she died of an accidental overdose of barbiturates at the age of 47. But there's like other shit that happened too. Frank Morgan, the guy who played the Wizard, was involved in a serious car accident. Though he was left largely uninjured, his wife Alma suffered a crippling knee injury that would plague her for the rest of her life, and his chauffeur was killed. Morgan died in 1949, never seeing the film become a staple of television and an all-time childhood favorite.
So I got a question. The Wizard had hearts and brains and shit laying around. Didn't have a knee replacement? Come on.
On by it.
Can you replace knees? I feel like it's too complicated.
Apparently,
you can always add on knees.
Apparently, Auntie M committed suicide by overdosing on sleeping pills and putting a plastic bag over her head.
Jesus.
When she was 81 years old.
The figgity.
When she was 81?
Yeah.
Why commit suicide at 81? Like, you've got, like, at most a couple years left,
I mean, you got,
right?
like 4 years left, tops. Like, I can't imagine, like...
I'll tell you, Al. You got a couple years left, and you know they're going to be shit.
I guess that's true. Yeah.
You don't have enough time to turn shit around.
I mean,
what if,
but
like,
that's why you don't commit suicide. That's why you hit like 81, 82, and you just start doing hard drugs. Just like fucking shooting heroin.
She did.
every
She
day.
overdosed on sleeping pills. She just happened to have somehow wrapped a plastic bag around her face while she was on sleeping pills.
Or somebody moited her.
I just assumed she like ran out of money. And went, fuck, I'm 81. I can't get a job.
No.
Not in this market.
I'll just fire myself out of a job cannon.
That's how she murdered herself? Or killed herself?
That would be an impressive way to commit suicide. Just
She
firing
stuck her
yourself
head
out of a
inside of her cannon.
She landed right on a Fortune 500 company. Unfortunately, the impact killed her.
She just like, that'd be a kick-ass way to commit suicide, though, is literally just stick your head in a cannon, take like one of those giant torches that you're like supposed to light it with, and just...
What about like the Munchkin thing? Did a Munchkin actually hang himself, or was that bullshit?
I don't see it listed, so it's probably bullshit.
Okay.
I don't know. Wasn't it like in the movie?
Yeah, supposedly that's like in the background.
Yeah.
Of like the scene, you can see it swinging, but I mean that could just be like
not
a
midget or something.
could be something else. Maybe a sandbag swinging from a rope.
Why do they have sandbags hanging from ropes?
Because sometimes you need to
Maybe
make
it's a
people...
completely unrelated midget hanging from a rope.
But he's still dying on set.
He's just tangentially connected to the film.
Just because they hired thousands of midgets.
He was literally there to do like
little people.
He was there to do the light rigging because they didn't like want a big person because they wanted to like cheap out on the scaffolding. So they couldn't have someone with like.
I know they prefer
and he just,
little
like,
people.
Slipped and fell. And,
I know they
hurt
prefer
himself.
little people, and I'm not trying to be like offensive about it, but midget is such a fun word to say.
Have you ever messed up? Have you ever messed up and said little midget?
Not
I mean, there are,
but
I mean,
I haven't, but that would be funny.
I'm the going back in there. I have a friend in there alone, and I don't want to leave her in there alone.
I'm not standing here shaking for nothing.
How about you? It's very, very real. I don't like it. I want to go home. I want to see if it's going to make me throw up.
That is one of the most grossest movies in the world. I ain't never took my coat and hood it over my face like that.
I thought it was very powerful. It just tore my mind.
Terrible.
But I just found it really horrible. I just had to come out. I couldn't take it anymore.
People are extremely depressed by this.
Are you done?
He's got to say it.
So, Rebel Without a Cause. Basically, everybody knows like James Dean died while driving his Porsche Spider. He like had like a bad accident or whatever, and then this other dude who.
Oh, cool.
So, there's this dude, Troy McHenry, who was an orthopedic surgeon who bought parts from the recovered parts from James Dean's car, and he ended up dying a year after that, when his Porsche Spider hit a tree.
I
You only
mean,
bought, like,
these could just
a
be
few
people
pieces,
driving
though.
Porsche Spiders way too fucking fast.
I mean, yeah.
I think you have the answer.
I think the kind of person who would pay the money for a Porsche Spider is the kind of douche who would drive too fast and hit a fucking tree.
Yeah.
I think that's
you're driving your Porsche Spider. You got these like bitchin' fresh parts, right? And you're
they
going
barely
like,
have the smell of death on them.
Yeah, barely. You're going like 110, and this douchebag in front of you is going like 95.
Yeah.
In a 30. Like, what the fuck is this guy's problem, right? So you swerve around him doing like a 960, and you hit a tree and you die in impact. The audacity of that motherfucker going 95, man.
I know. Fuck that guy.
The thing about that is, like, when he bought the parts, it was only like 2 parts. Because when James Dean crashed his car, it was like not really.
There was not a lot left.
It was like a pile of ash
It was
with like a steering wheel.
The parts he bought were like the brakes.
Didn't he buy
brake pads?
Yeah, the
and like
brake
half a
pads.
tire.
And so like the brakes hadn't worked for him, and so he bought like the brakes that still didn't work.
It was a bad call.
Bad call. Also, Dean's co-star in the movie was Natalie Wood, which you may or may not have heard of her, but she's the woman who was on a boat with Robert Wagner and Christopher Walken. She was Robert Wagner's wife, and their friend Christopher Walken. They were on a yacht, and she disappeared off of the yacht.
Yeah,
Sounds like
because
they
she
murdered
found out
her.
that Christopher Walken was a man in black.
Or they
Been
murdered
over this.
her.
At some
She
point,
was lunch.
at some point during the night, she must have attempted to get off the boat, causing her to slip, fall, and drown. Her body was found floating face down nearby, wearing a jacket, nightgown, and socks. Yeah, there's nothing left of that fucking car.
Yeah.
So,
oh no, there's something left now.
a
It's literally
witness-
just one little piece of metal that's like this big, and it's like in a museum in like a box. It's like a 2-inch thick piece of glass box, and it's just like this little tiny scrap of metal, and it's like the only thing left of James Dean's car.
do they have it like guarded by like an old priest and a young priest? I
don't know.
To keep people from getting themselves cursed.
I don't know. That's Don Wildman.
But like a witness from another yacht had said that he heard Natalie Wood calling for help, only to be ignored by someone else who was on the boat. The death was deemed an accidental drowning, but suspicions of foul play have always surrounded the case. Because
Isn't Robert Wagner? That's number 2 from the Austin Powers movies, right? Isn't that guy? I think so.
I think you're right. Yeah, I think that's who he is.
I think that's what he's best known for.
Yeah. So, Apocalypse Now was considered cursed as well. Basically, everybody involved was like on drugs, and like it was such like a massive shit show. the shoot had been called, quote, Hell on Earth, and Francis Ford Coppola said, little by little we went insane. Steve McQueen, Jack Nicholson, Al Pacino, and Robert Redford had all turned down the leading role. Harvey Keitel was hired and then got fired, and then Martin Sheen stepped in during the worst of his years of alcoholism. So the opening sequence of the film, when he's having the breakdown in the hotel room or whatever, it's not staged. That's legitimately a real drug-induced breakdown that he was having on set, that they just filmed for the fucking movie because of how horrible.
Is that the scene where he's talking about the snail crawling along the edge of a
straight razor?
No, I don't think so. That's Marlon Brando.
Yeah, that's Brando.
Yeah.
Or Lawrence Fishburne. They're used interchangeably.
Yeah. So, is that Marlon Fishburne?
No, that's Larry Brando.
Hey guys, is it cool if I eat these cheese sticks?
Cheese sticks.
No, stop! You're gonna bring him here! So, basically everybody was on a buttload of drugs and a whole lot of bad shit happened. Sam Bottoms and Dennis Hophead had died within 2 years of one another, one of a brain tumor, one of cancer. It's weird that all this, they all just basically went through hell and then got all fried out.
And they made a dope ass movie though.
They did make a really fucking good movie, I'm not gonna lie.
I'm gonna be honest with you, that is one of my favorite movies.
That is a goddamn good movie.
So this one is kind of ridiculous. It's a movie called Roar
by Katy Perry.
I don't know if you guys have heard of it. Yeah, that's real fast. Well, I think he's reading my notes.
That's not fair.
Because I have the screen turned.
I can't read. that's a lie.
Fair argument.
I just gotta ask: do you guys ever feel like a plastic bag?
It's caught up in the wind.
So I feel like that plastic bag that lady used to kill herself.
Jesus.
Oh.
Just like someone's death rattle trapped in a plastic bag. Holy shit. So Roar is an exploitation film about violent wild animals. And the dumbest fucking thing, these people chose to use actual wild animals for the filming of this movie.
Sounds like a good plan.
They, in 2015, it was dubbed the most dangerous movie ever made. The lions used in Roar scalped a cinematographer. Another bit Tippi Hedren on the neck.
Poor Tippi, man.
Hedren, who starred in The Birds, also broke a leg and suffered scalp injuries when she was bucked off of an elephant.
Mm-hmm.
Melanie Griffith was mauled in the face by a lion.
Jesus.
The director, writer, and co-star Noel Marshall got gangrene after being attacked by a lion, and an assistant director had his throat ripped open. All told, 70 members of the cast and crew were injured by animals, and hundreds of stitches were sewn.
See, that's not a movie curse, though. That's just being retarded.
You see where he fucked up is in between takes, the director was spraying the actors with bacon grease.
Yeah.
And just whipping the lions.
Yes.
He was telling me
he was screaming in their ear.
It's like, don't you fucking feed those lions.
He was rubbing them down no, it's just baby oil. Don't worry.
It's like
you're gonna look just like The Rock, I swear.
It's like one of those barbecue dry rubs and like meat tenderizer. It's just rub it into her shoulders. Why are you rubbing so much of that on my throat?
Yo, this shit is so good for relaxing the muscles.
What if the director was secretly part of some sort of lion worshipping cult? And he was just sacrificing people to lions. That was like the entire reason he pretended he was making a movie.
He rubs them down with like the dry rub. He's like, now you're gonna want to go sit in the walk-in freezer for about 5 hours, at most 12.
They like them coals. So, also, another movie here that I have listed is The Dark Knight, like the Dark Knight trilogy, which, I mean, you know that Heath Ledger died after the filming of his part, and
do you want me to smash up your lights?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, that was Terminator.
Different movie. Well, that's kind of considered part of it sometimes. The fact that like Christian Bale like seemed to have some sort of psychotic break. I think he was probably just an asshole. Also,
it's just a drunken Irishman.
There was a guy who was killed in. Who was on a camera truck filming when the truck crashed into a tree and killed him. Additionally, while filming The Dark Knight Rises in Pittsburgh, the stunt double for Anne Hathaway's character, Catwoman, crashed into expensive camera equipment and got hurt real bad, too.
And then Christian Bale just, like, smashed up her lights.
Morgan Freeman got in a really bad car accident during that same time period, too.
Was he driving like Catwoman's bike?
He's wearing like the full cat suit with like the goggles on top of his head.
And then I figured it was time to get busy being Catwoman.
Simultaneously banging his step-grandmother.
He's like
well, that wasn't him. That was the moles controlling him.
Yeah. He's like, I like the way this outfit makes my ass look. It's like, you know what's fucking cool though? I was like so mad like when I first saw the Catwoman design and she didn't have like the cat ears or anything, and then like I saw the like later I saw it where she like puts the goggles on top of her head, and I went,
that's dope.
Oh, I see what you're doing.
This is dope.
Pretty genius.
Yeah, and then obviously the biggest one is the fucking Aurora shooting. Like, is the biggest part of that curse because like holy shit. Which brings us to the last one I have on our list, because this is like probably the most well-known one, which is Poltergeist.
No. Hold on to yourselves. There's one more thing. A terrible presence is in there with her. So much rage. So much betrayal. I've never sensed anything like it. I don't know what hovers over this house, but it was strong enough to punch a hole into this world and take your dog away from you. It keeps Carol Ann very close to it and away from the spectral light. It lies to her. It says things only a child can understand. It has been using her to restrain the others. To her, it simply is another child. To us, it is the beast. Now let's go get your daughter.
So Dominique Dunn, who played the like older sister, she got choked into a coma by her boyfriend and died. And then the little girl, her name is Heather O'Rourke, who played Carol Ann. She died at the age of 12 of septic shock, which is pretty ridiculous.
Septic shock from what?
Apparently, it was a bout of ordinary flu that launched her into cardiac arrest during the drive to the local hospital, as bacterial toxins set loose by a bowel obstruction made their way into her bloodstream.
Jesus.
So, yeah, that's pretty ridiculous. Also, let's see. Julian Beck, the 60-year-old actor who played the evil spirit Cain, that's the preacher guy in Poltergeist 2. He's like the creepy, Amish-looking preacher dude. Died of stomach cancer 7 months before the film's release. Also, Will Sampson, the 53-year-old Native American actor who played the good spirit Taylor in Poltergeist 2, died in a Houston hospital on the 3rd of June, 1987, about a year after it came out. He had received a heart-lung transplant 6 weeks earlier, and the cause of his death was ascribed to severe preoperative malnutrition.
So it sounds to me like Poltergeist 1 wasn't cursed. Poltergeist 2 was cursed.
Just like Highlander 2.
What'd they do? Build the set on an Indian burial ground?
No, they built it on the set of Poltergeist.
It's just crazy how many people were dropping flies from that. One of the urban legends is that they used real human skeletons in the pool scene in the first one, and that's what caused the curse. Was they used actual human skeletons? I don't think that's true though.
No.
So Zelda Rubinstein, that was the short woman with the creepy voice. Don't worry, she just died of natural causes at the age of 76.
Natural curse.
I had to look up what happened to her. I was like, what about the little lady? She was fucking dope. And she died of old age peacefully. So what do you think about movie curses, Palmer?
They're not real.
No?
Mm-mm. They stole a bunch of morons.
Just stupid people doing stupid things.
Mm-hmm.
I could see that.
I don't think these are really curses. I think they're just unfortunate coincidences.
I think they're unfeeling, uncaring producers.
Yeah, that.
I'd have to agree with that.
Well, I'd agree with that too, right? But it's also weird just because of maybe it's those producers pick a certain type of subject material that their personality type would lean towards or something.
Yeah.
But I think it's weird that it's generally movies with very specific subject matters that have shit like that happen.
It is weird that it's Poltergeist, Rosemary's Baby, The Exorcist, and what was
the Wizard of Oz.
That
comedian with all the fat guys.
Sorcery, witchcraft.
Real curses are not depressing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very depressing.
Yeah. There's
Are there any bunny curses or something?
The curse of infinite puppy kisses.
Yeah. That's what I want to know more about right now.
No, that's probably one of the Chinese hells. They have 9,000 of those. If
9,000
if Big Trouble in Little China is to be believed as an actual historical document, which I think it is.
There's thousands of puppies, but you have no hands to pet them.
It's Jack Burton punching puppies in the face.
Right?
That is the worst curse on earth.
Right? They're all just looking at you, and jumping up and down.
I mean, you got feet, right?
Nope.
The hell.
You're just a stub.
The hell of the unrequited cuddles.
You're like a stub up on top of a desk, and they can't even reach you. You're just looking at them.
They're all starving, so then they eat you.
When they get older, they can't.
They're teething on you because they're puppies, so they don't have all their teeth yet. So they're just gumming at you for days.
Hey, we'll see you next week.
Yeah. So
and you told me puppies couldn't be depressing.
I didn't say that.
So what do you think about movie curses, Ryan?
Yeah, definitely evil producers.
Producers
and or uncaring producers who just don't.
Robert?
So I think it's literally just Hollywood politics. People just fucking they have to hire the cheapest, most incompetent labor possible, so they end up killing people on set all the time. were like doing something stupid, like filming it downwind from a nuclear test site.
Yeah, that one's pretty cut and dry. Same for the one where the guy was rubbing everybody down with meat tenderizer. that one's pretty clear why that happened.
Yeah,
this is just a hunch, but I feel like if you dig deep enough on this, Billy Zane is going to be at the heart of all this.
I agree, because Billy Zane is the fucking
Billy Zane. We have questions that you need to answer. You have to email us. We have an email. It is weirdshitpodcast@gmail.com. We will send you our list of questions. You will send us your answers and tell us what cult is doing this to people.
It's the cult of Zane. I don't think there would be more than one person in that cult.
No, he's his own cult.
He's just like, he's running around in his costume from the Phantom.
I feel like
through the sewers of LA, sabotaging production on other
Billy
other
Zane
movies.
he's just one of those people who is a curse in and of himself because he ruins everything that he's in.
He was born of a curse.
But his curse wasn't strong enough to ruin Twin Peaks. But it did get it canceled, though.
Yeah.
So,
Timothy Oliphant, he's another one of those. Like, he's just awful. Everything is just bad.
You see Justified? Okay, don't.
Did you see Hitman?
No.
Okay.
Did you see Lord of the Rings?
Yeah.
Remember those big elephants?
Those only count as one.
Yeah. Just put one of those in a cowboy hat, and it's the same thing.
Yep.
Same exact thing.
How is that ruining every movie he's been in then? Because that would make every movie dope.
So this week, I want to say thank you to everybody who's listening. You guys have been great. Keep sharing the show and stuff. I want to give a shout out to the More Gooder Than podcast and the Wine and Crime podcast. I've been listening to you guys all week. Shit is hilarious. You should check them out.
That one actually is pretty funny.
Yeah. They like the Wine and Crime one was cracking me up because they're like they have like Yooper. Or not Yooper, like Minnesota accents that you can hear coming out sometimes.
The hell's a Yooper accent?
It's the Upper Peninsula in Michigan.
Yeah.
It's similar to a Minnesota accent, but not quite.
It's like that accent that's like, oh boy.
Oh no! Oh boy! Like our
same thing.
Kinda.
Yeah. Kind of.
It's very similar.
Some very important key differences.
Like
the Minnesota, the Minnesota
like
one.
Michigan.
The Minnesota one is drunker than the UP one.
You do the Michigan accent, but you stuff your mouth with cheese.
Yeah, and that's basically what it is.
I just keep imagining like Anakin like saying "yippee." It's like a yippee accent.
Yeah, yippee. There's pod racing. And the More Gooder Than podcast, they basically pick like
space is cold.
They basically
Are you an angel?
They basically pick a different topic every week, and so it'll be like the best Kurt Russell movie or something like that, and each of them like picks one.
The best Kurt
and
Russell
they, like,
movie? I
argue
mean,
for
come on.
which one is the best
Tombstone.
one.
Hands down.
I know. You know what's ridiculous? I almost quit listening just because of this. Tombstone wasn't even an option.
No.
Yeah, I'm
I
sorry.
was like,
I'm
that
sorry.
doesn't make any sense.
I can't listen to that.
Like, what? Not even Tombstone on
Can't
this
do it.
shit. Like, it was like, but I think maybe it was
Backdraft or some shit? Get the fuck out of here.
I think it was specifically like John Carpenter, Kurt Russell movies that they were doing because it was like Escape from New York, Escape from LA, and Big Trouble in Little China. Which, come on, it's Big Trouble in Little China. I mean, it's not even a question. Like, but yeah, they're really funny too. We have the Patreon at patreon.com/weirdshitpodcast. We're doing the best we can with what we got, but we want to get some better equipment.
We need cash.
Yeah, make a better show
Need
for
more
you guys.
J.G. Wentworth. 877.
No, we can't have that. If we put that on, they'll sue us. Fuck you, J.G.
Allegedly,
Wentworth.
J.G. Wentworth.
So, like, go to the Patreon.
It's my money.
We have
technically free advertising.
Use it when I need it.
Complain.
If you guys want to help us pay for munchies and stuff, because Palmer is fucking insatiable, we got a donate button on our website at weirdshitpodcast.net. Robert works hard on keeping that website going, so check it out.
I would like ice cream.
Yeah, ice cream and Cheetos.
Not together.
Well,
not from us. No. God damn it, no.
So
I'm out of here.
We'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.
Hey everybody, this is Mike with the Weird Shit Podcast. Thanks for listening. Welcome to Season 2. This season we're actually looking to collect some listener stories from you guys. Do you have feelings of dread in your grandparents' house? Did you witness a furry hominid on a childhood camping trip? Have you or someone you love seen something unexplained? Because we want to feature your stories on the show. We're looking to try to get some sort of listener story maybe at the end of each episode where we go over it. If we get enough of them, we'll do whole episodes on listener stories. Maybe we'll even share with you some of our own. We have a Google voicemail that I set up for us. You can call up there. You can leave your story on there if you're comfortable with having your voice on the radio. If not, just tell us in the message you leave. Let us know. Instead, we'll I guess I'll write up a transcript and put it up that way. We also so the number for that is 919-346-3071. Again, that's 919-346-3071. We also have a Gmail account set up. You can email us at weirdshitpodcast@gmail.com. That's WEIRD shitpodcast@gmail.com. You can send us your stories that way. We also have a Facebook group. I noticed people seem to be liking the page instead of the group. If you want to be part of the discussions, just search on the Facebook search, type in Weird Shit Podcast Official, and go to groups, and it should show our group there. Also, to anyone who's listening on iTunes, if you could rate, review, and subscribe, it would be a huge, huge, huge help for us. It'll help us reach more people. We can keep this thing growing. Maybe eventually we can figure out some way that we'll be able to do this even more for you guys. This season, we're trying out some new stuff with our case files and regular episodes, so it should be pretty fun. And thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you for telling your friends. Thank you for helping us in this and being a part of this whole thing. And stay weird.